Recording starts. All right. This is Maven Layemi, and you all are welcome to our design workshop. Yeah, another edition of design workshop for purposeful designers. And tonight we have our boss. His full name is Sowemimo Bamidele, and he has different names. Agba designer. You can call him human being. So I don't know why a human being will call himself human being again. Maybe that's like double validation that guy. I'm a small god. He's a god in this industry. He's an amazing person, like very good.
Enough of the
Yeah.
hype.
Where I am now is one of the person God used to build me. Yeah, all of the things I'm doing, like you have to learn in your journey, and thank God we are here. We are here by God's grace and through His help also. Okay, so let me move the hype to into design space. Like Bams have worked on, I can't even say many brands, right? Many big brands that you guys don't even know. So let me just go to let's go to Instagram.
Oh, we don't have any works on Instagram actually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Don't put us to shame.
But let me just show them few. You guys know Genesis, right? You know Genesis. When you go to cinema, I say Genesis is showing the movie, all of that. Yeah, I think they branded it. Spams did the whole stuff. There are many big brands that I worked on that I can't even mention everything. Access Bank. Um, there's I think I've forgotten some of them. I think I've forgotten some of them. I was also privileged to work with BAMs. Yeah. Then I was naive. I didn't know anything. Sincerely, I didn't know anything. And through his help, encouragement, and little pressure, I want you people to know that this man used to give pressure, but it's not like all these guys that want to kill you and say you have to work at all costs. It's not everything is not all about work. It's not all about design. Yeah, there's the aspect of life to it, and he knows how to manage that very well. He knows how to manage people. He's my mentor. Yeah, he's my mentor. Like follow him back to back, and he may not see everything, but we are seeing the results gradually. Okay, so tonight, let me just cut. Let me cut the hype like that, and the next voice you'll be hearing now is going to be Brahms. So over to you, Brahms.
All right. But I'm kind of hearing my echo. I don't know whether the feedback
Oh,
is coming.
I think you have to like mute one of your device or something.
All right. Hello. Aha. It's
Yeah,
better.
we can hear you. Okay, let me
Okay.
just let me leave so you can share your screen.
No. I'm not sharing screen yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to. So, but you can. I mean, I will also still share my screen when the time comes. Yeah,
All
but
right.
so hi everyone. It's really great to be here, and thanks to Maven for creating this space, really for everybody to learn and grow and become a better version of themselves. Like I mentioned initially, when you said maybe tips and tricks on how to become a better designer, I mentioned that that's probably not what we're going to be looking at. It's just become a better UI UX designer. Tips and tricks will come in later. You get so much tips and tricks. You can know all the plugins that does this and that, but if you're actually not a better designer, to be a very poor tool in the hand of a mediocre. Right. Then actually opportunities like this are really major turning points for most people, especially if you know how to pay proper attention. Okay, and there are reasons for that. It could also be maybe in terms of myself as a person. I probably should have opportunities like this and even become better designer long ago. So let's cut to the chase, right? Being a better designer is not an instant thing. It's not something that happens immediately. It deals a lot with consistent learning. It's a whole journey on its own, right? So I've had above 15 years of experience designing in general, and a lot of years doing UI UX. And so before it even became a popular term or it became a role, say there's a role called UI UX. And back then, there are not so much of these fancy tools like we have already. It used to be CorelDRAW, Macromedia Fireworks. Macromedia Fireworks is owned by Macromedia that owns Dreamweaver that they use for web development before Adobe took over it. It's similar interface like Photoshop, but it's very, very difficult to use. Those are tools, right? But they are not the creativity on the side. Like I mentioned, you can be given the best tool in the world, right? Maybe something better than Figma. Just like anyone can have Figma maybe installed on their system or Photoshop or anything. But the creativity of what you need to do with those tools is actually not sold with the laptop. So, but like he has mentioned, I run an agency here in Lagos. Maven has been a team member back then. And in terms of design, of course, we've worked for local, international, commercial banks, microfinance, etc. From websites to apps to identity system and different things. And I'll be coming from a designer point of view myself. I've worked with different designers, a lot of them, from beginners to people that are almost geniuses. And depends on the level that you are right now, right? Whether you're just starting out or you're an intermediate or you are a pro that have some imposter syndrome that makes you feel like a beginner every day. Yeah. So a little background around how to become a better designer in general. Like myself, I have this natural gift of drawing in secondary school, being able to draw, being able to sketch, and somehow some of my mates in class actually felt like maybe I fell from the sky or something. It looks like a mystery. They always wonder how can you draw a human figure without seeing somebody in front of you? Or how can you draw a nose perfectly without seeing a reference? How are you able to draw a straight line? You swallow ruler. How are you able to draw line this straight? There are those things that some we are this guy now, which there are some of those things like that. And some people even buy drum books and give me over to the weekend, just go and draw anything, just for their amusement. You probably still throw it away afterwards. And then from class to class, you carry me from class to class. So I'm the one that draws diagram on the board. Biology class, intro tech, etc. in secondary school. And it even got to a point where my dad was like, is this what I'm paying for in school? Because I always come home with a lot of drawing board. But in the same view of that, I always look at myself as if I'm actually not that special. Like, it looks like so much easy thing for me. Like, it's so easy. Why are these people not getting it? Why can you not design the way I'm designing? Why can you not sketch the way I'm sketching? Like, maybe I just draw it like this. I just sketch it like, yeah, take pencil to use self draw. Some people will try, And some other will not even try. They will just give up. Like, just take my drawing book and come back tomorrow. And you see, what I just explained now is talent. It's like an inborn thing. And we are all not gifted, or we are all not just going to be gifted in that way. And for me, I don't know how to teach someone else how to do it. Even when you ask me, I can even confuse you more. I can just grab the pencil and say, draw it like this, like this. I will go like 10 steps that they won't be able to catch up with. And the point on that is, when you see someone that is doing a very, very amazing design, a very incredible design, you think you can never be like that. Especially when you go to like awards or some of these websites where you see the raddest websites, you'll be thinking, is it that the person swallowed something that makes them, that enabled them to be able to design this way? It's always mind blowing. Like, how will I be able to design something like this? Then at that time, some people will try, and some will just give up immediately. And some others, like my closest friend, started trying because some are really interested in trying to design the way I design. So they will keep trying, and small, 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 they started drawing like me somehow. Then it started becoming like, oh, this guy is also trying to draw the way the way Bamidele draws. Because some, they read their hell bent on, they will want to design the same way I'm designing. And I started knowing better, small, small, for those that stayed for a while, how to tell them to shape their hand, how to tell them to turn things around, how to tell them to draw the line in a certain way that I don't, because I know how to design. It's inside. I just design. If you ask anyone that have a skill but don't know how to teach it, they will just tell you they know how, they just do it. So I started knowing small, small. But what's the point I'm trying to make here? If you've ever attempted to teach someone how to design before, especially if the students have very low retention, you will feel what it's like to struggle to transfer knowledge to that person. You will know something you've mastered so well, and to you it's very easy. And it will be like you just want to open the person's core to learn what you've known, like somehow. But in the same view of that, you actually start to understand that most things that look like mysteries and becoming better at anything is actually possible, is learnable. If you are following that, I really want you to get the concept of what I'm trying to say there. Then today, there are so many designers online. I'll be scrolling through Instagram. They are even more epic, more advanced, more magical. Like, you start imagining how they do it. And then I know I actually don't know anything back then. So I'm pretty much more like at the back bench, like anyone else that is here, on the same way you are trying to learn to become a better UI UX. Then it became a misery for me, because you see some people that are drawing with ball pen, with pencil, with etc, and they are drawing hyper realistic design. Then later I learned that people are actually using measurement. I may not be an artist, I may not know all these things, but there are actually certain rules that if you draw some line in some kind of ways, if this line between these two distances meet together, and I connect it from point A to point B, I can draw a perfect looking human head. That's like a rule on how to do that. Then it will become an instruction. Then it will become something that you start improving on. Meaning that if anyone follow that same instruction, they will get almost the exact same result that every other person will get. If you draw this line in this certain way, you will be able to draw a human head But your human eye will start looking like the rest of the people that draw the same thing. So if you can now get better, is now another thing. But at least you know that doing something this way is actually possible for you to learn it and to become better at it. So regardless of how magical someone's design looks like, there is a possibility, a chance of you actually learning, regardless of how amazing, how interesting, how over out of this world the design looks. There are actually some certain rules and principles that guides why that design looks like that. There are some designers that will say, I cannot, we actually use that slogan in native brands, we can't make a bad design even if you try. It's becoming like it's sure, it's certain that we can always make good designs every time. Yeah, for a designer that is also upcoming, you can make some design that will be good today, some will not be good tomorrow. But doesn't also mean even as a pro designer, you always make good designs every time. But there are always clues for how to actually make good design and how to become better design. All right. And like I mentioned, the class was supposed to really be tips and tricks on design. We'll still look at a few of those. But if you want to know the tips and tricks, which plugin is the best in Figma, which design is this, which it's going to come as a secondary thing. I can show you Figma. I can show you the rectangle tool. I can show you the square tool. I can show you the star. I can show you the oval. I can show you the gradient. I can show you picture and everything. Just like anyone that can have any of those things on their system. But if you don't understand the concept, you put those things together in a very ugly way. Yeah. So the number one rule, which is the first thing to become a better designer or a better UI UX designer. I actually created this rule myself. I don't know, and I think it should apply to every other person. The best designers are the best researchers. If you if you see two people that makes very good designs, check the first person. They know how to make better research than the rest. If you can make very good research, you'll be better in your design. I believe when people drop quotes, is that they reach some point in their life that they got in some situation that brings up those statements that now become quotes and people put on the wall. And for me, I actually hit this point because I'm a self-taught designer myself. And then being self-taught doesn't mean you're not checking YouTube and this and that. But actually, there are people that pay, that go to school, that did this, that did that to learn design. So I did a lot of picking and mixing and trial and error. And one of the top things that came out for me is to be a better designer, that means you're a very good researcher. Aside, if you are a hard worker, some talents will become obsolete if placed side by side with your skill. You can make research to some extent that you're almost becoming a Goku of design. Like, in fact, being a designer should be one of your number one top level skill. Being a researcher should be one of your, whether you are a beginner, you are intermediate, or a pro, let research be a key thing for you. Take, for example, let's say I walk into a room and people are trying to design a logo, and the logo is letter A, something. And everyone is on the drawing board trying to make a design. And I walked in and I came up with 5 different variations of letter A. There are two things that could have happened there. Maybe I am very talented. And naturally, I can draw so much letter A out of my head that I can come up with so much concept. Or I have researched so hard that I've seen so much version of letter A that that's a photographic memory that I'm even able to create variations out of it. That's the thing. We have a rule in native brands. It's called 70-30. 70% preparation and 30% execution. You see that 70 is mostly for thinking, just to go about, make researches. A typical login page or sign up page or anything may not really be a huge challenge, so to speak, because what makes up a login page? Email address, password, and a button, and maybe the link to sign up. And maybe there are links to sign up with Google or anything. Aside from that, that's all the things, or maybe the brand logo or anything like that. That's all the things that makes up a typical login page. But then you see some login pages that looks 10 times better or out of this world than every other person's login page. You see some login pages like I've not seen a login page like this before. I've seen a newsletter where if you want to unsubscribe, the newsletter plays so much with your emotion that you don't know how to unsubscribe. When you get close to the button to unsubscribe, the design start crying that, oh, you are leaving. That you end up not unsubscribing. But what makes up the newsletter design is just a form or a button on subscribe. But what makes it extra special? You've made so much research that you've seen so many things that you're able to come up with something different than what someone ordinarily won't want to do. And this is another thing for most designers. They don't want to make research. They believe making research is a weakness. And making research it happens to developers too, makes you a bad designer. Making research can also be in terms of maybe you want to design a page and you go on Dribble and you look at different things. And then because you are making that research, you are not coming up with things from scratch. But actually, there are almost no new things around. Like I mentioned, what makes up that login page is forms. But how you design a login page that is different from whatever anybody has seen before is your research. So that's the number one thing. Just being a good researcher can improve you in terms of designing to the level you can almost not imagine. Be a good researcher. Spend more time researching. All right, so that's that by this. At some point, I could spend hours just looking for the right picture that fits into something because the picture is just what's going to speak for everything in the design. So that's the number one thing. The number two thing is I can make it as an example from Native Brand's point of view. If we want to hire, we hire for two things. We hire for visual impression and we hire for data orientation. You can be someone that makes very amazing visuals. Not all designers can make amazing visuals. But most UI designers, when you check their portfolio, most of the things you see is dashboards and mobile apps. And no offense, I almost call it a lazy design in a way. Because you will make innovations around your design, right? You only be a better researcher, a better designer to be able to innovate beyond almost any basic dashboard design that you've seen out there or a mobile app design that you've seen out there. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. To make a dashboard design, it's mostly maybe sidebar on the left, sidebar on top, sidebar on the right. Other things that makes up the dashboard, the charts, the tables, etc. And pretty much that's what makes up a typical dashboard. Then advanced designers are the ones that try to make a button that does not exist before, that nobody has seen the button before. You've played so much with the design that you are now coming up with your own concept. But if all you have as a UI designer is just dashboards and mobile app pages, uh, yeah, you likely just be repeating the same bottom sheet, the same bottom menu, the same this, the same that. And it's not a bad thing. That is data. So you making designs in those concepts, you better understand data too. Because the other side of it is visual impression. If you give a bank website to a typical designer, you design like a startup landing, like a fintech landing page. If you give them a website for an artist, you design like a startup landing page. If you give them for music, you design the same way. If you give them for little children, you design it the same way. If you give them for, you know, just one direction kind of concept, there is a need to understand those key parts. And what I mean by data is this. For most, they can a designer can make a design of a mobile app, maybe a social network mobile app, and put a button in there that oh, this is a like button. But for an average like button, there are so much data and analytics that goes behind it that will make you understand that it's not just maybe making this interface that I just made. There are a lot to it that makes it what it should be in front this way. And in terms of making artistic design, visual impression, which is the other side, is trying to know that if I design a website for a music company, let me share my screen. I think I can share my screen in this way. Just a minute. Okay, share screen. Continue. All right, let me know when you can see my screen, please. This is Oxygen. So it's owned by Access Bank. It's one of their business units, but it's yet to be launched live. So this is still on our sandbox. They call it Oxygen, and Access is a commercial bank, but there are a number of all these digital banks that exist already, like OPay and PalmPay. Access Bank is over 30 years. OPay is just 5 years. All the customers that Access Bank have so far so good. 60 million. OPay have 40 million customers already in 5 years. So they are creating Oxygen as their own digital bank to compete with OPay and PalmPay. So it's coming out soon. They also created Hydrogen to compete with Flutterwave, InterSwitch, and the rest. When they said Oxygen, it took a lot of thinking. It took a lot of color understanding, because those are their colors, this orange and this bluish, then to be able to blend it all together. And in terms of the movement of the balls you see on the background, something that looks like is breathing, there is air, there is this, there is that. Another designer could take this same design and just make it like picture here, this on the left, this on the right, boom, website is done. If you get down a bit, you have a number of all these things that they said is their core values, breathe, ambition that you can play with and throw around. Then when you come down, you do borrowing, you do savings, you do investments, lifestyle, and the rest. And it's a bank for freelancers, for everybody. This is something we can call a concept of visual impression. It may not be data driven, it's just a website. But you understanding data when you get on anything that builds like an application, maybe you are building an app or you are building anything like that, you understand data that goes behind that. The first thing I mentioned was making research. Just being a good researcher will really incredibly improve how you're a designer. Then the number two thing, or number three, is probably going to help junior designers or intermediate designers. And this looks like more of the tips and tricks section of it. Yeah, because eventually tips and tricks are actually the fundamental principle of designing. These are common loopholes that most designer makes every time, even some intermediate designers. And it's one of the key reasons why you can easily detect whether someone is a pro or is an amateur. So I've interviewed different designers, I've seen different portfolios, I've reviewed so much. We can put up a job ad sometimes out and we get over 250 applicants. So just for one ad, and that's like the extent of how many portfolios just for one job and so many others. And some of these design flaws are probably based on ignorance or laziness, right? Ignorance or laziness about a few things that you are probably supposed to glue in front of your laptop every time. So you can always see it and remember. Because if this thing is something that you need to correct yourself in terms of principle, if you are making the same mistake over and over again, it is not bad, but you only need to remember that that's a principle again, so you can make correction. The other thing is about things you should just learn as you move on. The first one is the laziness and ignorance part. On every design, try as much as possible to be creative with your assets. Let me take it again. If you are making any design, try as much as possible to be creative with your assets. Stop using the same pictures everywhere. Even if it's a demo, even if it's a fun project, even if it's a play project, for some it's laziness, and for others they actually don't know this is a bad thing. Using the same picture, especially maybe when it comes to the team section or when it comes to, you are using the same picture everywhere. This may not sound like a very huge thing because some intermediate designer fit and some pro designer fit. But I can bet you, if you can try and keep to this, you won't know the problem you are solving as a designer, as a UI designer, if you know how to be creative with your visuals. And you may not know how much to make emphasis on these things until you see some website that the only thing that is there is just probably a text in the middle and the rest is just a picture. And that's the sophistication out of it. If you know the importance of you not repeating the same picture everywhere, it is just a key thing. It makes your design so poor. Even when you're a pro, it will be like you're a beginner. So try to look for different pictures that speak for different things that you're trying to do everywhere. Not the same woman appearing here, appearing there, appearing here. Some people might make great design, very, very great design. You really won't know this is the only thing that disqualifies it. It's because I'm seeing the same picture everywhere. So don't be lazy about it and don't be ignorant. The next thing is content. Lorem ipsum dolor sit, abeg, be creative. You won't understand how this diminishes the value of your design using lorem ipsum dolor. Like I said, you as a designer, there are different stages that different designers here probably are. Some are learning, some are attached to their skills, and some are in business. if you are attached to your skills, you are still in some distances because the only thing you see is your skill, and they will just tell you to do something and you get it done. Some are already advancing a bit in their career, and they understand how to get creative at things. But let's even say we are not taking it that far into the business side of it. You are a designer and you are making any design. Try and be creative with it. Some of the things that sells top designs or that makes you an incredible designer is just how creative you are with your punchline. There's a particular design, and what we added to it was the punchline that the client never created. I think it's a construction company. We now added building the next frontier as the catchphrase. They love the word so much that they made it their slogan. And that became a thing. So when I say an amazing design, do you notice when you look at some designs that are not written in English, they are not designed in English, no matter how good they look, they somehow look ugly to you. When it's written in Chinese or Russian or something, because you can't read it, the beauty just run away from your eye. I've seen a lot of incredible design, amazing design on Behance, and you somehow feel like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not English, or yeah, it's Arabic. So try and use content. Try and come up with things. There are even now Figma plugins that have that can generate real content. Use ChatGPT, come up with content that are creative. Stop using John Doe for the same team name everywhere. Try and use people's real names all over. These are core improvements that makes your design better. The next one is on the fundamental basic principles. And if you have to, pay better attention on this. I don't know. I almost wanted to bet that some of these things that have been highlighted are probably not being considered, not going to be considered as are probably not going to be considered as the key things that actually fails designs, because you won't know until you start doing it, and that's like the case of this next step. There is a top agency. It's a global agency. Let me know when you can see my screen. This is Basic Agency. I think that's even the reason for their name, Basic Agency. They actually, own the copyright for Basic Department. That's what's it called? Like Department of Design, right? The website, I think, if you are an average designer, you should be able to make this design, because the logo is just here. These are the menus, and this is your navigation. When you scroll down, just see logo, logo, logo. When you get here, you just rule a line, put their content here, put this here. Every other thing is just basic, very basic. But this looks incredibly amazing, as if they've done something special. When you see most portfolios these days, they don't have, and those are the portfolios that blows your head, as if someone did something incredible. There is this guy. His name is Dennis. Dennis Snellenberg. Code by Dennis. See this website is really amazing the way he did it. That as simple as it is, everybody started copying it. People started copying it to the extent that he created a website to showcase all the people that copied it. They call it copydennis.com. and people are literally taking his portfolio. So there is also the code somewhere that you can copy his own code to and use it. The website has won multiple awards, but tell me what you think is incredible here. What can't you make here? But can you think this way? You see, complex is not the opposite of simple. When they say you should make something complex, you make it so it's easy. If you say, let me make this house complex, I'll throw this around, throw that around, throw everywhere. It's easy to start chaos, like Tinobu said. But when they say you should make something simple,
That's
it's
where the problem
really
comes.
as simple as this site is. It won almost all the awards you can think of. And see all his websites, they are very simplified, very minimalistic. But that's not the point I'm trying to get at. The point is in terms of alignment, spacing, and proportion. That's a major problem with most designers. They don't know how to align things. So it makes the design look poor. Like I mentioned initially, that I used to draw, I used to be very artistic in secondary school. That a lot of people think I'm very special. Like this is like, yeah, like you are a witch. How do you do this? How can you draw human being without seeing them? How can you draw nose correctly? How can you do a straight line correctly? And I was thinking I'm not so special. Anybody can do this, but I don't know. They probably can't. But then I don't know how to teach it to. So actually, if you know the fundamental principle of how to follow a basic guide on making a design, you will get it done. That's where your skill comes in. You will learn there is how to learn the skill of how to design. So some of it, if you've been noting them, those are some of the key things. There is image that we also get to next. How to pick images. That's what disqualifies most designs. If you want to know some amazing designs, just go to the website, delete all the pictures that is there. Some are so ugly without the pictures. So you understand the importance of knowing how to pick the right picture. Picture is what speaks. Like oxygen that I just showed just now. Uh, I mean, let me also share this. This is Union Systems, one of our clients. We built this in 2018, and they came back again in 2024 or 2023 to rebuild it again. And it's a software company. They are into trade finance, and so they are probably the largest in Africa. And this is how simplified their website is. When you come down, we draw the shape of Africa, and then we show people they work with, what the clients are saying. Then these are their products: Kachasi, Igora, Optimus. This is their services. Join their team, press release, thought leadership, and then build with USL. If you think about it, if you take out all the pictures and everything and the rest, to be like, take out this smiling guy, take out this lady, take out this, take out that. You might be looking for an image and you see this guy post in different posture, like 10, 20 different posture. But it is only this one that can work for this place. If you take another one that looks sideways, that looks up, that is not smiling this exact way, it's actually not going to work. It's part of the things you should learn around being a good researcher. This is design. This is it. This is exactly it. This is what you see and you think is fine. It's being able to know how to pick these things. But back to alignment and proportion. Let me share the screen. So I actually have I have a group of upcoming designers that I believe maybe some are also on this call.
Wow.
And uh, I'm on the Figma playground uh, that they drop the works they do on their, that they are, I mean, for their instructors. So I also get to see it every other time. And I'll show you what a typical beginner design looks like. So you can also be able to see some of the key things that they are feeling in there. Hold on just a minute. Share screen. All right. So here is it. This is a Figma design. And let me just pick at random. Let's say this design, for example. This is what a typical uh, upcoming designer design looks like. And this is chaos and calamity. This is the logo. And this is the fonts. I can't actually read what's on the background. But I was talking about alignment first. You see a trackable distance between this piece and this piece. That is becoming ridiculous. Then when you get down, the way things are worded, the way things are spaced all around here, the way the typography is joined together, and I believe I'll still see some other things. The use of content here, this is already looking like a disaster, but to be objective, to be specific, right? This is supposed to be the heading, and this is supposed to be the body. There is, it's painful to read all together in the way this is put together. And you can almost tell that a title that is somewhere is the same title that is elsewhere. And I'm talking from basic agency's point of view. This is also another one. You know, this design might look good, maybe, but the fact that I can't read this thing, let's say this thing is readable, this text, it should start looking nicer to me. This rent property, let's say this is what I typed. Let's say the design is actually nice, but how does it look now? Even poorer, worse than it used to be. That's the point of you using the right, I mean, try to recreate, try to come up with something, try to write something meaningful. Then this is probably supposed to be a Nigerian client or an African client or a Pan-African client. Once you start introducing Uyibo into an indigenous design, that's still part of selecting picture. You're already making a mess of things. Let me make a little design change here. This green that is selected here, let me just break this. And let me select this lady's trouser. Maybe this is not even very close. I'll look for a different example. But these are design. Let me look for something. Access. Maybe the master design. So these are both 2,000 pages of designs, actually. So it's quite a lot. But just a few things to look at. I believe Maven should still remember this design. Now, look at it without the picture loaded.
Hey,
The structure is there.
I'm
Yeah,
back. Sorry.
really. The picture is there, maybe. I mean, the structure is there, but the picture is going to bring the life into this. When we are making designs, you see designs that look good in your eye, but you don't know why. And there are just few basic principles that makes them look so. This globe image that is here, there are so much connection of this or that, but it's almost the same kind of hue and color with what on the design. That brings
Wrapping up time.
visual alignment for you. If you go to UBA Bank, if they are using the picture of someone, the person is probably wearing a red tie or putting up a red something, doing something like something. I don't know if you are seeing the correlation in all this. This is business banking. It's themed blue. This is corporate banking, orange. This is personal banking, lemon. This is careers.
Sorry, Bams, I don't think I can see your screen.
Oh, really? Can anyone see my
Yeah.
screen? I
Yes,
think
we
there are
can see
three
your
things that
screen.
are shared around here.
You can see his name. You might need to click on his name. Just click on his name.
This is private banking. You can see the rays of orange light that blends the way the lightings are up there. The shade of all this, it brings some sort of visual balance. You know, see the yard, on and on like that. This is sustainable banking. There are things that click in your eyes. You probably won't know why they are clicking, but it's based on some of these few principles around how you're able to pick the images, how
I
you're
can
able
still
to.
remember this.
Yeah, you still remember this. Yeah. But I'm talking about making designs that that are in good alignment, proper proportion.
Okay.
This is an improved version of what the designer was able to do
Just be
on the
sure
long
you go
run.
spoil my wrapping up
I was
time.
actually amazed
I
when
love
he
this
did
this
this.
one.
Like, oh, you did, or you copied this
My
from
wrapping up
somewhere.
time.
Yeah, he did it himself. Then you see the way things are spaced all around, the way things are
Go spare
arranged,
my wrapping up time.
spacing between the components around here. The space, it looks way more different than what we are looking at here. You can't read the text that is on the picture because it's blending with the background image. Let me see some other ones. Well, let me make an okay, yeah. So this is me trying to make an example for the designer at the point. Now let's take this for example. Let's say I'm not doing anything special. I'm just trying to design a fancy page. I have my button here. I have this logo here. I mean, everything was just text. This is probably Playfair display. The thing that makes this thing make sense is how I'm able to centralize this text in the center. How I put this
Yeah.
on this side. How I put this on this side. The spacing here, if I bring in this ruler, spacing here and the spacing on this other side, looks like I'm leaving the same space that is here and the same space that is here. This is what brings you visual. This is what inside basic agency website that we just checked. So I don't think I continue from there. Let me see if I did another thing again. But yeah, there are different designers on this Figma. This is another person's work, and don't judge too fast. Everyone is basically a beginner on this design. But this is really to show you what a beginner design looks like and what are the few mistakes they make. Some is the button, the way the button looks. Let me take a little realistic approach on this. Let's say we are making design style guide, and let's say this is my heading one, and let's say I'm selecting maybe 36 pixels for my heading one. What I need to know how to make design is how this heading goes with the There is the popular golden ratio that everybody talks about. Inside the golden ratio thing, it actually works, right? This 36, if I bring it down, I think golden ratio is 1.618. And if I want to make a different heading that will follow this top one, I can just make it divided by 1.618. It's 10 times. That will give me heading 2. If I want to make heading 3, just do the same thing by 1.618, heading 3, down till I'll get to the body by 1.618. Let's say this is my body. So there's no way you say, welcome to this class, and the rest of this will be like the body of it. The hierarchy of what I need to read first and what I need to read next will already be easy to go about in this way. This is what most designers fail at when they are making their designs. The other thing that can help is understand how to create style guide. Style guide is just your typography system, your button system that you can reuse. Because what happens is most designers make the first design and their subsequent design, let's say they make a button somewhere, the way they reuse the button later, you just realize the button is not the same elsewhere. So this button is big, contact us. Then they have other buttons that are not looking like what they did below. So basically, sizing and proportion. There is also a web design company here in Lagos before. Their design is not always the top gym design, but this is the only principle they keep to. The space on the left is going to be equal to the same space on the right. The spacing of how they do their button, the way they align things to float to the left, to float to the right, the way they pick the images they use, the way they are consistent with the heading. They use one heading here that is this pixel. They are not using another heading that is looking bizarre in another place. They are not using another heading that is looking, they are using the particular font size of the body, maybe 12 pixel or 14 pixel. They don't get elsewhere and start using 18 pixel, 16 pixel, and everything start looking like a calamity. So that's basically just another. Can you please drop the guide? Oh, sure, I'll do that. I'll do that. We spent an hour already, and I don't want to, because the longer a thing gets,
Yeah.
yeah, the more it gets exhausted.
I'm sure they already have questions. Already
Okay,
gathered
so
some
I'll
questions.
just stop here. So you can bring in your question. Yeah. The next can be, maybe if there is going to be another class, can be in terms of design thinking, how to actually think about design, how to come up with
Okay,
it. Yeah, can be
that would be
another
awesome.
thing. Yeah. But then, I think that should be all for now. So over to you guys.
Okay, your question, please. One at a time, please. One at a time.
I have a question.
Okay, we can't see your voice. Okay, we can see it now. Go ahead.
Okay, I am posted. I don't know what English to use by being in the class. Thank you very much, Mr. Sowemimo. I'm very happy I joined this class. Very, very happy. Very, very, very happy. So it's my question, not to waste time. You talked about image. Yes, I'm somebody that is very interested in photography, aside from just the business too. But then there's something I practice. I don't know if it's right or wrong. So whenever I'm using models for any fictional project, UI UX, I use a model collection, like the same human, different poses, different dresses. Is that something that that can pass or because all the projects you share with us so far, I can't see any repeated model. Every model was just had to do with the caption. Like the one you were talking about, the consulting, this, that. Every model was just carrying their faces. The faces caption was put. So is it cool to use model collections? And in my second question, you talked about your typography rule divided by 1.68 and that. So personally, I didn't learn this from anywhere, but what I use is usually Figma has this fixed, what's it called now, fixed numbers, maybe from 6 to 30, 30 to 24. So in my own space, I use that. So I might use the main edge one. I might use 36. Then the next one I might use 24. Then I don't know if that can pass to. Then my third question. Usually our buttons on any app or website, they are usually rectangles and just rectangles. Some might have system pixels rounded, some might have 100. Everywhere is just round. So I am somebody that think a lot. So sometimes I used to think, can't I just create my own button? Do I have to just do rectangle every time, rectangle sometimes? And there was one time I imagined I have something on paper. I imagined having my book. I was thinking of I've been writing a brief for myself for a children website whereby children that want to learn tech can start by themselves instead of watching all those minions. They can start by themselves. So I was thinking of having creative buttons instead of the regular rectangle. Have something that looks like a rectangle that is almost dripping. Then the other button under it is forming something like the puzzle that fixes it. I don't know if that makes any picture. So I'm just thinking because sometimes I used to find part of UI boring because everything just looks like we are just following the same guideline, following the same guideline. There's no room for being disruptive, just like graphic design where you can do things out of nowhere. So those are my three questions, sir. Thank you.
I'm not sure I captured everything, but I think I remember the first one. You ask about using models. So everything depends on the project requirement. If the project requirement actually requires you to use models, the same model, which I mostly really don't recommend, we actually have a rule internally that you should never repeat the same thing for two different projects internally. So we mostly, you likely not see us using a picture of someone that we've used before, then we are reusing the same person again. Or on a website, you are using the same person in this place, in that place. It's somehow like maybe the first thing I was mentioned that you're using the same person everywhere. If you shouldn't, or if it's not mandated, I think it's best to be really dynamic around the usage of your pictures, not the same person everywhere. Or may I ask, what's the scenario that is making you to use the same model every time, or that requires you to use the same model?
It's so I don't mean I use the same model every time. I mean for a particular project, I just download a model collection. So there's pixels where you download. Everybody has their profiles of pixels. Pixels is like a website whereby photographers upload image and some creators also upload images of themselves. So it might be the same model but different poses, different expressions for the same human. So I might just download that collection and use it for just one project. So maybe a
Yeah.
place where it's at a place where it's smiling, something like that.
Okay, but what do you think about those works when you push them out? Do they look great using the same person? Or what do you think this some of these designs probably showing? Okay, maybe they look a bit different. Probably it's because probably it's not the same model that is being used over. So if you shouldn't, I think try not to use the same model everywhere. There is a visual, there are trained eyes and there are untrained eyes. There are some clients that they will tell that they need a website. There are some clients that knows that they need a website. So the clients that they tell that you need a website, even if you do anything for them, they told them actually. So they really don't know whether they need a website. And there are some clients that knows beauty when they see something. Some people can actually tell whether your website is fine or it's not, or your design is fine or it's not. Those are like untrained eyes. But for a trained eyes, when they start seeing the same pattern everywhere, I see the same guy that smiled here, he just wear hats somewhere. He just the dress in this way. Just for me, I think you shouldn't be repeating the same assets everywhere, or even repeating the same assets for different clients. What's the next question?
Thank you, sir. So, thank you,
Can
sir.
I
So,
ask a
the
question,
second
Vance?
question was
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can go on. I
Move
thought you
on,
were
go
done
on,
with
go
your
on, go on.
okay. So the second question was about the typography rule you mentioned. Whereby you showed us an example whereby you wrote heading 1, you divided the next text, you divided it by 1.68 just to give it that visual hierarchy, and then the next one divided by 1.68. This is my
Right.
first time seeing something like that, but personally, what I do is Figma has the normal default numbers from 36 to 30 to 24, like that. That's the way I use it. I don't know if that passes too.
So this is just a raw guide to if it comes to worst case scenario and you don't know how to go about it, this is what you can default to. For example, the designer that I was showing the design actually had a problem initially when he started, and this is the problem he had. It's a really funny problem, really funny. Just a minute. Maybe he does not know, or maybe, yeah, I mean, he has been told over and over according to the instructor. Let's say this design. I don't know whether this is it. Yeah, this is his page. Let's say it is this design that we're looking at. He will actually, let's say this is a font. You see how big the font is looking to me? And let's say this is the font now, and I'll say text. This text is 48 pixels. He can change it to 10. Then he will zoom in here. Then this text is looking big for the fact that he has zoomed it in. Then he can further change it to like 3. Then he will zoom it in. Then you can change it to 1. Then you can see it. Then you say it's done with the design. By the time you go out and zoom out, it will not be like, really, can you actually read this thing you're looking at? Nobody can read this very thing that you put here. He finds it difficult to know, oh, what should be the default font size to use for body. And there are style guide that you can create to say this is heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. There are even Figma plugins that can help you generate style guide that you can reuse in your design. So it won't be at the point you use 12 pixel or 14 pixel somewhere, and you are then later using, you don't know what you used initially. So the style guide guides you to be using those font sizes. But if you don't know that a default text, body text, should be between 12 pixel to 14 pixel. If you actually keep by that, design, you won't be making design that will be out of proportion. If you keep your design at 14 pixel, it will still be readable as a body text. Depends on the kind of font. Then the heading can be this, can be that. But if you make a heading first, maybe this heading, and you want the rest of the body font to go with this, just divide it by that 1.618 or so. Then it will give you the body font. That font that you get, you can actually keep using it all around. It won't look too tiny, it won't look too small. And also, like I mentioned, some designers don't know a font that is appropriate. even when you as a pro designer looks at a design and oh, this font is too tiny, it's too this, it's too that. They don't know what should now be the exact font size that I should use. 12, 14, 16 for body and any other thing for the slide. So I don't know if that works. So it's like a ground level thing. I can drop how you can divide it and divide it and divide it. Yeah. What's the next thing?
Sorry, I want to replace my third question with another question.
Mike,
how
let
do I
another
check?
person ask question. Mike, that's enough, please. Just hold on. Let
Okay.
another
So
person
let
ask
me
question.
quickly ask this one. Bam,
You will
can
ask
you hear
again
me?
later.
Can you hear me, guys?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I think I just want to ask like from a professional advice point from you, like so I think sometimes the issue like between being creative like is knowing how to hand off your final design thought to development team, especially when you're working like with a company. You know, maybe you want to do like an animation, you know, something that is not the regular just images and text. So, what tools do you advise, or would you say are like the best? And how do you move from regular ideation and then moving it, giving like handing over design ready ideas to developers so that, you know, because usually the problem with some of these design, they always tell you is the implementation is not the creativity, right? And then I want to just know, like, what default size do you use when you start a design? Because I know you create for responsive. So, but I noticed that, like, me personally, I use like the normal 144. That's the MacBook size. Yeah, but I noticed that when you test it on bigger screens, it might not give you like a full HD screen, which is like 1920. It
Okay.
doesn't give you like you have issues with to the like the text sizes that you used and whatnot. So I just want to know, what do you think is the best? What would you advise is the best frame to use for a design that works across all? I think yeah, these are my two questions.
Okay. So first thing is a designer's problem, really. Is a developer's problem, rather. That's the first thing there. Let me show this. This is Access Insurance. Is just a new project we're working on for Access. And see the design. And the developers are also already crying about the design.
Mhm.
Design, the first draft of the design, and pushed for development. And developer is already like, how in the world are we going to go with this? Let's say you even go with the right dimension and the rest.
I'm
A
just going
designer
to
will
quit.
a designer will make a design, and developers are the ones that will spoil it for you. It happens sometimes. But to say in terms of how you should hand over, there are few key ways. First, there is Figma dev mode right now that was just introduced, but I think Figma is now making it a paid thing. That's a pro thing. But there is a way you can actually highlight. Let me see if I can show you inside Figma. Okay. So this is one of the this is one of the projects we are currently working on. It's a card solution, and yeah. So you can request card, you can pay for bills, you can scan your ID, you can do all this biometric and the rest. Inside, you can freeze your card, fund it, and so on. If this is to be handed over to dev, I can highlight this, and this button up here is mark it as ready for development. To put this on the side, and developers will know how to use it. But there is the ultimate handing over for development that is here, dev mode, and it's now a paid service. I guess to use dev mode, you need to pay, so it's already brought down. But for a typical developer, once the design is provided for you, the standard I use in most cases is actually desktop, not MacBook Pro, not MacBook this, not that this. There are styles for everything that is created inside Figma. So if I select this Hello John and I switch to, they've moved everything to dev actually. So there is a way I will switch to style or code. It used to be design, prototype, and style. That I will see the CSS style, the color code, the font size, etc., and developer will be able to take it. But if you make any design with the right sizes, with the right proportion, regardless of how you hand it over to the developer, if the developer knows how to work, it will spoil your design. It's that simple.
All right. Thanks, boss. That was helpful.
So make sure you have a good developer that will implement your design. Okay, let me show you this. This is a comedy, I think, that answers the question.
Why is everything dancing?
Yeah, and Dinova. Wow.
So that answers the question.
Yeah. And
What-
just to add, sorry guys, I'm talking too much already, but I think Bams, because I think for a long time I've followed your work like closely, and I noticed that I'm thinking that one of the things that make you a better designer is when you stick to a particular niche. Because I notice you are, when it comes to corporate stuff, you are like you are super dope there. So I think that might be helpful too for
You mean corporates?
everyone. Yeah, I think like corporate
Really?
designs, fintechs, but mostly corporate.
Not
I
really.
look,
Not really.
but would you say that is helpful also for becoming a? Let me turn it to
Okay,
a question.
so that's one of the problem. Not really helpful. If you really don't want to run out of pockets as a designer, don't stick to a design style as the only thing you know how to do. You will probably eventually say you only know how to make a design style, a particular design direction. So at a glance, myself, personally, I've designed over 50 websites or going to 70 websites, right? So no, you've actually not seen any of them. The reason why most of the works are actually not outside is because they are too much and it's hard to present them. So that's it. So in terms of fintech, this is an interior design. There's even a background music, I guess. So there are actually a lot of work, like a lot of them. The point is don't be fluid, don't do the same thing. This is a recent work also. It's a law firm. It's a law firm. Uh, the Law Crest Limited Liability Partnership. This is Jollof Fi, Jollof dot. Then I think the SSL has expired. This they said it's cooking African DeFi, that's decentralized finance. And this is I was going to talk about this, but the time is not there. Being able to think in a metaphorical way as a designer, that you can make a metaphor out of something. The tagline for Jollofa is cooking up African DeFi. This pot was even cooking when it was designed, when it was implemented. They just said, ah, oh, no, it's getting too much. Just leave it, don't let it cook. That's the pot is shaking like it's cooking. So when you go down, this whole coin will enter the pot.
Okay.
Yes, it's not just maybe one concept. Maybe that's another key thing. Don't try to just
Maybe I've had those comments. The way you split that, the way you split that stream to
Waiting this man they talk.
all right.
Okay, I
So
think
more
I think there are some questions in the chat.
okay.
Adetiba Yomide said, I have issue with balancing text variation for app and website.
So I think if you follow the same, if you follow the font sizing, let me give a sample, and I really hope this helps. You see, the wider you go, the more the space should be wider. The smaller you go, the more your space should be smaller. And this is what I mean. So I actually put this in here just to make this sample. This is a whole canvas of design. For example, the space that is on this side here is wide. Things go from wider design, because this is a whole canvas. The canvas is a component. So this is a component, this is a component, this is another component, this is another component. Then it goes into elements. This is an element, this is an element. The space between this gets smaller between the element and the element. The space between this gets smaller between the element and the element. That's between two elements. If you just apply that rule, it's going to help. Then the space between the components gets a bit wider in between that than the space that is between elements and elements. Then if there is also something else that is more divisible, that is smaller, the space in between them also gets smaller. But then when it's getting wider, the spaces get bigger and wider apart. You notice the space that is here, the space that is here is more like the same than the space that are here, because they are elements, they are part of elements. I mean, they are component of this element. Let me give a button for an example. Let's say I'm trying to make a button. Let's say this is button. And you go want, oh, what kind of way can you make a button? And or let me just make the button an auto layout as it is. Or let me make it inside. Or let me just put it inside the frame so I don't make it too complicated. The spacing between this button that I have here, let me join it together at the end, like this, and like this. Okay, I'm trying to make a button from 0. And then this is my button auto layout. Where is my text? Hold on. Let me just even make it a regular grouping. This is my button. The space that is between this, just hold on a bit. These are tips and tricks. Let me use this guy as an example. Is it here? Anyway, so I don't forget what I'm trying to say. It's the space between buttons that makes button looks like, oh, it's actually looking good at the button. If you make consideration of 8 pixel upwards, that's the space that is supposed to be up and down between a particular button, is 8 pixel on the top, 8 pixel below, and the spaces that are on the side is 12 pixel on both sides. You are likely going to make a perfect looking button. In the context of some people make their button that will look like this, and it's somehow annoying you, like, don't they know how to make good buttons? It's because they are not getting the patterns right. Like what I mentioned initially, some of the rules of making design that make some people look like they are extremely good, or they are like performing magic, or you can never be as good as them, are actually just basic, simple rules that if you know them and you follow them, even if you don't know anything extra yet, or you are just to improve on that thing that you know first, you actually design things that looks balanced, that looks well structured, that looks well aligned, properly aligned. The sizing thing, the image choosing thing, like the button thing that I also mentioned here, the text arrangement, balancing things, space that is on top is not more than the one that is below, space that is on the side is not more than the one on the other side. You use the right picture for something. You are not using two Lorem Ipsum everywhere. You are not repeating the same picture everywhere in your design. You are getting better and better with your design. Yeah. Let's take the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other question do we have? Okay, I think there are no other questions here. Do you guys have questions aside design?
Yeah.
You guys should talk. Oh,
If there are other questions that are not designed.
Mr. Bams, me, the only question I have is how can I become like you like this? Because someone you they inspire.
So it's actually also simple. Yeah, a lot of designers, or let me put it as beginner designer, this is a thing that is always common. That you see a pro designer, right, and you actually want to just be like the pro designer. In most cases, yeah, I mean, maybe a session like this or anything like this can actually give you a very good head start. But it's always good to be in like a peer group, yeah, and that goes into yourself. You're just a designer, you're designing alone. You're trying to get better alone. You're trying to do everything alone on your own end. It's actually join a group, be in a design group, see what others are doing. People actually get better when they design alongside the rest of the guys. There are 10 people on this Figma that have been playing around on the people here. So one person will drop a design and the other person wants to benchmark what the first person did. And that's what puts them on that same, what's it called, wavelength that makes them want to design better. And it's not like, in fact, the best go-to thing is to meet a pro designer that will really help you and put you up to speed. But the part of it is like, to pin down a pro designer can be extremely difficult. So if that's what you will look at, you may actually not be able to catch all the things you need to learn on time. So join a group, join Figma Africa, join Ideators, join a group like this, and then people should start making design. The last advice I was going to give, I don't know if we're almost getting to the end, is practicing. That's the only grade of becoming a better designer. Holiest grade. If you drop design for a week, design will drop you for a month. If you drop design for a month, you just realize you're already rusty. That's the thing. So you need to keep practicing every single day, every day. Yeah. So that's the most important thing, actually. Keep practicing every time. So any other question, even if it's not design, or if it's some other things, or see one thing about practicing.
Let me help them. Okay, continue, please.
About practicing, right? Let me try and practice something. Let me practice something here. Just hold on. Yeah, this is my account on Dribble. And yeah, a few things here and there. So if I go to this homepage, I think I have more following than followers on Dribble. And I look for some of the top designers, look at their design, and I say, oh, yeah, they are actually doing this, they are doing that, they are doing that. If I don't go to Dribble, see, I mentioned the research. If I don't go here, I won't see that somebody have something like this in their head. But how did you come up with this? This is research, right? If you don't make research, if you're not a researcher, this won't happen. But that's really not the point. There's a guy around here. There are plenty of them. That are also my favorites, like 57. Like there are plenty. Balkan Brothers. There's Gleb. There's there's Gleb. That's the guy. And there's Cosmin Capitan Radium. You have one of the raddest, the advanced design, even before people start thinking about advanced designs. Yeah, he has been doing some of these designs. You wonder how good some of these designs are, and they are probably still kicking some new assets. Now, let's say I look at this guy's design and I want to practice. So you want to practice looking at the designs that are the best that you can see. It's like shooting for the stars or shooting for the moon, but you become one of the stars very soon, even if you can't get to the moon. Say, I want to try and design exactly this thing that this guy did. Of course, you make a mediocre version, but try again tomorrow, you make another mediocre version. Try again, you make another mediocre version. Very soon, you start getting it. Very soon, you start knowing how these designs are made. Very soon, you start getting better and better and better. And before you know, you're already making designs that are close to that. Then from all the knowledge you've gathered together, you can now say, yes, today let me also try my own hand out. And let me make my own design. That's what practice does for you. It makes you get better because you will be checking what amazing people are doing out there. You'll be trying to replicate what they're able to do. And then one day you want to do yours. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. I think that really makes sense. You have to design every day, like design every day.
Yeah, so to help, you can
Keep
join the
improving, keep
there are different design.
improving.
You can sign up for Daily UI. I think it's dailyui.com. They will be sending you
Follow
different
good
design.
designers.
Exactly. And make research.
And another thing, there's difference between wanting to improve and designing to make money. Yeah, a lot of people they are learning and then doing business, like trying to do business at the same time. You want to make money immediately because you're already working. It does not go together. You are in a hurry and you won't get it. You won't get the money you want and you won't learn better. So you need to set aside, okay, um, your time for you can do something else. And it's not the job it's not what you are learning. Like you are just learning now that you now want to use to start making money. That does not make any sense. You learn first, become better, then you now learn how to make money. So I had to go that route because some people are asking so many questions. They've asked the questions in the community earlier today, how to make money and blah blah blah, business side of design, and I'm so surprised that they are shy to even come up with the question now. So I'm asking on their behalf. So how do you make money as a designer? I know it's not the session for it, but we just want to learn from an experienced
Okay.
designer like you, sir.
Making money as a designer is it comes in different way, right? And it comes based on the knowledge that you have. I mean, the level of knowledge you have around making money as a designer. One truth about making money as anybody, not just a designer, is that business is different from design. Let me take that again. Doing the business is different from making the design. And then the design is what complements the business, really. If you see top designers that are making designs right now, ask them about the design. It's probably subcontracted to them. And the person that subcontracted it from another person, from another person, from another person, from another person. I mentioned something the other time that most designers are attached to their designs, and then that's the only skill that they have, and that's the only thing that they know as uh, as the skill. But that's probably what will box a designer into not making money. The people that brings the job that is subcontracted actually can't even move their mouse or can't even press anything on keyboard, which means uh, how people actually make money in business in general or in designs is about business knowledge of the design. I can sell a design to you that I know how to make design without actually knowing how to make design, and I'll get a designer that will make the design. And I'll make the money and I'll pay the design. So if you want to be a designer that will make money, you need to understand the business side of things. Maybe I just repeated the same question, but I think you get one thing out of that. So let me take it one more time. The first point of confidence for any designer is what you know how to do. So you might know how to start talking about making designs, doing this. It's like what takes you there is what will sustain you. If you actually have a sweet mouth to talk to someone, there are people that can actually sell you like they are like snake oil salesman. They will sell you something that doesn't exist and people will buy it. So I can sell you that I can make a good design for you. But if eventually what takes you there is unable to sustain you, is the same case of, oh, you tell someone you've learned. Let's say you start learning. Let's say you won't hear now. This is how you will make money as a designer. But the skill is not there. Like Marvin is trying to say is really going to fall you down. Yeah. And there are also different levels around how to make designs, how to make money from designs. A designer can be making a logo for 5K or 3K, and you hear that another designer is making a logo for 100,000, then you will never be able to think about it. Like maybe that person is using Otumoko to collect money from clients because it's not possible. Maybe 100K sounds realistic to you, at least, maybe to some people. Can you open your mouth and tell a client that you want to collect 50 million for a logo design? Now that sounds unrealistic, right? But I've seen different logos that I even know directly that was designed for around 50 million or thereabouts. Like Health Plus Pharmacy, if you know Health Plus, I remember years back it was actually done for 50
Yes.
million. Exactly. But then how are they able to do it? So there is a business angle into it. You as a designer that you are attached and glued to your designs, you are unable to see beyond your nose that you are the one that is solving a problem. This logo or this website, who is going to visit it? How many people are going to use it? Where is it going to? Or let's take a logo, for example. This logo is going on Billboard. It's going on this. It's going on that. Is it an international brand? Is it a local brand? Is it this? Is it that? Is it a Pan-African? These are questions that some clients are very ambitious about, right? And by going into the details of some of those things actually brings out the risk that you are saving them, which means you are actually saving them a risk that is as good as their business, right? If you make a poor design for somebody, if I make you a terrible logo, the logo is just one thing, but you are printing 50,000 shirts. Then you've printed 50,000 bad shirts. Then I'm saving you a big risk of designing a very good design for you. There are different ways. There are different talks around it. There are ways, there are things you need to learn all around that. Communication strategy with clients and all those other things that goes beyond you saying, this is the font that I'm going to, this is the color that I'm going to use. You are still talking about your skill. You are still talking about megapixel. Like someone was talking about, should I use desktop screen or a salesperson, a business person, have no idea of all those things. They are trying to talk about the problem they are trying to solve. And that's how people charge for things, and that's the money people make. And that's how, we get some contracted too. So there are some people that actually make the entire money, and they have no idea how to even move a mouse. But what takes you there might not sustain you if you have nothing to present, to show, if you don't know how to make designs. So what takes you there it should be a key thing. Learn first. When you learn, then remove the L that is behind it. Learn first, then come out the L with the back, and N, if that makes sense. All right, I don't know if that answers the question.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a funny question. One of my guys asking if he could join those guys that are checking their designs from your end.
Oh, okay.
Those are staff work, so
No, they're actually not.
okay, not all, Abby.
None really.
None. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there's an opportunity then.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That-
is there like a platform some people can join?
Yeah, there is. It's actually more or less a free class. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Congratulations to you guys.
So there is also an instructor that takes and on it. But
For UI.
I'm just added to the group. Yeah, so I just follow up with whatever is going on in there. Yeah.
Okay, for UI UX. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. All right, so you can help us join drop the link. But no, to
Um,
me, it should
yeah,
be
that
to
would
me.
be yeah,
I'm going to
that would be
select.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll select. I won't give it to everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we should just call it a night already. It's late. It's almost 10. And if you know you enjoyed this session, please just let your appreciations roll in the chat. Just let's show our boss some love. Let's show him love. Drop your appreciation. Send in your emoji, anything. I can't see. I can't see. Thank you. Thank you. Let's have more.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Brahms. This is very educative, inspiring, profound. All the English dictionary. Thank you so much. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
All right, guys. So we see you guys next time. Just watch out for another episode.
All right.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Bye.
Good night. Thank
Bye.
you.